So you want to be more confident. If you clicked on this video, then you might be struggling with building your confidence, or you're just looking for a few tips and tricks to help you along the way on your journey to self-discovery and transformation. If that is you, this video is for you. I'm going to be sharing with you some of my tips on how to be more confident and even exude confidence even when you don't feel like it. So if that's you, stick around. We can all use some help here and there on learning how to be more confident in different settings, even in our personal life. But the tips that I'm going to be sharing with you today, you are going to be able to implement them in all facets of your life. And I'm going to tell you how I got to that point. Now, I want you guys to imagine this. You are getting ready to walk into a room. The room is cold. There will be people at one table. There's one person at each table. And it is now your responsibility to go up to these people. They're strangers. You've never met them before. You know nothing about them. They know nothing about you. It is now your responsibility to explain to them in about 3 to 4 minutes why you are the perfect person for this position. Now, it's not speed dating. I promise you, it's not speed dating. But essentially, you have about 3 to 4 minutes to present your best self. What would you do? Well, in 2019, this is something that I did, and this experience has completely changed my life. And I'm going to tell you how this experience helped me to build my own self-confidence, but also to exude so much confidence now that I can walk into a room and no matter what I'm wearing, no matter how I look, I am still going to turn heads. So let me tell you about that. So in 2019, I did something that, to be quite honest with you, you would have asked me, 5 years prior, I would have laughed in your face. But I did something that challenged me. I did something that had me nervous. It allowed me to step out of my comfort zone. I mean, something so far off the spectrum for me in my background. But this thing has completely changed my life. And this was me entering my first pageant. This was my first pageant, and I was competing for the title of Mrs. New Jersey, okay? I had no pageant experience. I had never, up until that point, I had never met anyone who did pageants. I come from the inner city, so there was nobody in my local community who was even thinking about pageantry. But I did something that was so far out of my comfort zone that it challenged me and it pushed me and propelled me into the woman that you see today. And in preparing for this pageant, it has allowed me to grow in so many different ways and build my confidence that I can now help other women do the same. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how that experience helped me to build my confidence and what you can take away from my personal experience to implement on your confidence building journey. So the first thing that you're going to have to learn on your confidence building journey, and also something that I learned, is that you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. There is no way around it. You cannot skip the struggle. You just have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. In order for you to grow and to become more confident, you have to put yourself in social situations, in places that you're not comfortable being in. I put myself in this situation to challenge me. And when you are learning to be confident, you have to be comfortable with being challenged. Do you know how uncomfortable I was sitting in that room, literally almost shaking, talking to people I had never met? They're asking me questions that I kind of don't know the answers to. And I'm just like, in the back of my mind, what in the world did I sign myself up for? Oh my God. The second thing that this experience has taught me is that you have to be prepared. Now, I know we all know that, but when I say prepare, I mean not prepare in how you present yourself. I'm talking about prepare and you have to know who you are. So I want to use some examples. Let's use Michael Jordan. Let's use Beyonce. Let's even use someone here on this platform, social media. His name is Mr. Beast. All three of these people, when they started out their careers, they were novices. Nobody knew who they were. They were not proficient in any of the areas. Michael Jordan with basketball, Beyonce with singing, and Mr. Beast, again, someone on this platform who was creating videos like we see today. All of these people started off as novice. They had no idea what they were doing, but they just had the desire to be better. And they did this by preparation. They would constantly show up day in and day out. And Michael Jordan, he didn't make his high school basketball team. He is now one of the most well-known basketball players of our generation. The thing I want to highlight about all three of the examples that I just used is that they all started off as novice, but they were able to build on a skill set. They figured out what it was that they were inadequate in, but they had a passion for, and they learned to develop their skill set. Confidence is the same exact thing. Confidence is a skill set. And in order for you to be proficient in it, and in order for you to be better at it, you have to build upon that skill set. So you have to build your confidence each and every day. The same way I use those three examples, the same way they built their skill sets each and every day. And over time, you become so proficient at it that you become a pro. And when you become a pro in your own confidence, it exudes without you even having to open your mouth. You turn heads even when you walk into a room. This is how you become a confident woman. And the second thing that I've learned from my experience in pageantry is you should never depend on the opinions of others when you are learning yourself. When you are building your confidence, you're going to have so many people kind of looking like, what's going on with her? She's making some changes. I don't know. When it comes to you building your confidence, you have to realize that the opinions of others should not supersede the opinion that you have about yourself. What you believe about yourself is law. It's biblical at this point. No matter what someone says or thinks about you, it should not discourage you enough for you to change how you think, how you feel, how you operate day to day. The opinions of others do not matter. How you feel and think about yourself is the only thing that is going to help you build your confidence. And so when you're on this journey of learning your confidence and building and transforming, in this just journey of life, take people's opinions with a grain of salt. Remember, salt looks like sugar, so someone's opinion can look so good and sound so good, but it's sugar. It's not what you thought it was. And now you went to go put sugar inside of this recipe yourself, and it don't taste good because you allowed someone's sugar to be your salt for your recipe. Now, this was something that took me a long time to get. I try to, get the opinions of others around me, especially when I'm making some decisions. But once I got to the point where I realized that I didn't need anyone's validation in order for me to make decisions, baby, couldn't tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Once I have a conviction about something, I am full steam ahead, and I don't allow people's opinions to deter me from things that I want or the things that I am after. And that is why I've had so much success in so many different areas of my life, because I don't take people's opinions what I say go. That's being confident. I'm confident enough in my own ability and my own decision making for me to make these decisions. And no matter if the decision is right or wrong, I am confident enough to make that decision. And I'm also confident enough to live with the circumstances or the repercussions of whatever decision that it is that I make. So when I left my first pageant interview, I was so upset. I realized that I didn't know what I was doing. I realized that I needed some work in a lot of areas. I mean, a lot of work. I needed to work on so many different areas in order for me to be proficient in this thing that I was after. So the third thing that I have learned from this experience is that you have to develop your skill set, whether that means to read a book, to learn a new craft, to find a new hobby. You have to develop that thing that you feel that you are inadequate about. If you feel that you're inadequate, for me, it was at that point, it was public speaking. Now, I talk all day, okay? I have no problem talking, okay? I talk all day to my clients. I talk all day to people on the street. But when it came to public speaking, oh my God, I would clam up. Like I said, I got cotton mouth. I started getting shaky. And it was because the things that I typically was having to speak about in public, I didn't feel adequate speaking about it because I didn't know that much about it. So as it relates to that interview I was talking about, they was asking me all these pageant related questions and questions about leadership and all of these things. And because I wasn't proficient in that area, it made me feel inadequate. And because I felt inadequate, I didn't feel confident. Because I didn't feel confident, I bombed the interview. And so that experience taught me that whatever I am inadequate about, I need to address those areas. So again, for me, it was public speaking. It was also areas of like different areas of that competition, like pageant walking versus runway walking, all of those little things. But I became proficient in the areas that I was inadequate in. And lastly, one of the things that this experience had taught me was that I didn't know myself. I didn't. I mean, I know who I am as a person. Like, I know I'm Chimere, you know, I know I'm a cosmetologist, you know, I know I wrote a book. I know all of those things. But at that time, I didn't know who I was outside of all of the things that I had accomplished. So I want you guys to kind of take this test. I want you to describe in a few short words, maybe even a sentence or two, who you are without your titles. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, I want you to describe who you are without saying you are a mother, without saying you are a wife, without saying that you are an aunt, without saying that you are the director of whatever at your job, without you listing any accolades. I don't want you to say that you won the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't want you to say that you won the Community Service Award. I want you to describe who you are without no titles. This was something that I had to learn to do. Now this translated for me not only within pageantry, but just in general. This showed me that I did not know who I was outside of being a mom. I did not know who I was outside of being a wife. I did not know who I was outside of being a business owner. And so when I really took some time and did a lot of self-reflection, because you have to do the inner work, what that experience taught me was that there was no way that I can be a confident person if I don't know who I am. And if I don't know who I am, it is going to be almost impossible for me to convey who I am to strangers, to a panel of judges who are now responsible for giving me a leadership position of a lifetime. There was no way I would be able to do that if I did not know who I was. So in order for me to be confident in who I am, I had to really dig deep and figure out not only who I was, but what my passions were, what was fueling me to want this leadership position. And because I knew who I was and what I wanted, I then knew that if I was able to get that leadership position, what I would be able to do with it and how I could be effective in that role. So in order for you to exude confidence, you have to know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, it's going to be very easy for people, society, to sway you and make you someone that you are not, or for you to become someone that you are not, because you are easily influenced by the people who are around you, as well as being influenced by outside resources that are not aligned with the goals and the values that you've set for yourself. So you have to know who you are in order for you to truly be confident. So after leaving that interview and realizing that not only did I bomb the interview, but I needed to really do some self-reflection and do some internal work in order for me to be ready for the role in which I was applying for, I took a year off. And I really dug deep. I mean, I went through the crevices, y'all. I went through it. It was one of the hardest years of my life, but it was also one of the most fulfilling, because I knew by the end of that year that I had done everything that was necessary for me to not only figure out who it is that I was, but what it is that I wanted, the goals that I wanted to achieve, the areas in which I wanted to be proficient in, the areas I still needed more work on. But because I did all of that internal work, the next time that I went for my pageant interview, the next time I sat in the front of a panel of judges, do you know what happened? Do you know I actually went into that interview and I was singing? I was literally singing in my interview, like full-blown singing, okay? The story is pretty long, but it basically boiled down to these judges looked at me, they read over my, we want to call it it's not a resume, it's called a bio, but they read over my bio, and basically it was so impressive because of all of the work that I had done through that year. They almost kind of called me bluff. They was like, there's no way that this is real. And they called my bluff, but because I was so confident in all of the work that I had done, I was able to convey my convictions to this panel of judges in a way, singing in a way that was so bold, that was so ambitious. My confidence shone through so brightly in this interview, they had no choice but to give me that role. And as a result, I was crowned Mrs. New Jersey America 2020. My point is this: the power of doing the internal work to really make sure that you are proficient in areas that you feel inadequate in, and also just taking the time to really, really dig deep and figure out what it is that you want and why, and really become the woman that you want to be. Not the image of that woman. I mean, truly become the person that you want to be. When you do that, the confidence that you will gain, the confidence that you will exude. A confident woman is a woman who is strong in her convictions. She knows who she is. She knows what she wants. She is assertive enough to go after all of these things. She's ambitious. That is what a confident woman is. And when she walks into a room, her head is held up high because, again, she's exuding this energy, this femininity that is so strong that it turns heads. Who is that? Who is she? I need to know her. People are drawn to this energy, and that is what we want. But you cannot do that. You cannot exude this energy if you have not done that internal work. So now I want to share with you some tips on how you can appear to be more confident even while you are doing this internal work that I talked about, while you are working on yourself and you're digging deep. There are some things that you can do starting today that are going to help you exude that confidence, and they're going to help to build upon the work that you're already doing. But I do want to preface this by saying, I'm going to use one of my grandmother's favorite quotes. You can put lipstick, makeup, and eyeshadow on a pig, baby, it's still going to be a pig, okay? What that means is it doesn't matter what you do to mask who you are. If you are truly insecure, or if you are truly a negative person, no matter what makeup you put on, what eyeshadow you put on, what luxury bag you wear, what designer clothes you wear, you're still going to be that negative Nancy. You are still going to be that insecure person. You can only wear a mask but for so long. After a while, the mask comes off, and who you truly are on the inside is going to be shown on the outside. So with that being said, these are some tips that you can utilize today that are going to give you the appearance of being confident while you are working on being confident. So tip number one, which is something that pageantry has also taught me, is that posture is everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything, okay? Your posture is basically almost like the blueprint to a confident and more feminine woman, okay? So let me show you, for example, you're in a meeting, you're talking to someone, and you're like, yeah, Bob, I think that if you present this framework to the bosses, it's going to really do what it needs to do to be impactful for the company. Versus, yeah, Bob, I think that if you present this framework to the company, it's really going to be effective in getting our point across. Which one looks more confident? Shoulders back, chin up. I said almost the same exact thing, maybe not word for word, but I said the same exact thing, but just my posture alone, it made me look like I knew what I was talking about. And as you guys seen, I had no clue what I was talking about, okay? But my posture exudes openness, friendliness. Just my shoulders being back. They always say, like, if you're standing there and you're talking, never talk with your hands like this. You see how now my chest is like closed off? It's not inviting. I'm not inviting anyone in to listen to what I'm saying, to have an emotional connection to what it is I'm saying. Versus if I'm standing there, my shoulders are back, my chin is up high. Because I think that this is the perfect framework for the information that we need to present to the company. You see how different that feels? You see how different it comes across? It comes across open. It comes across as if I know what I'm speaking about. Posture is everything, especially ladies when we're sitting down at a table. We don't have our hands all over the table. We're sitting there because we are confident that, I own this room. This is my show. This is my space. Everything in here belongs to me. So, I can relax. That's confidence. That's energy. That's the energy that we want to get off as a confident woman. So, posture is everything. Tip number 2 is to listen more than you speak. Now, I know that you guys have been in social situations where it's always that one person in the room or in the party or wherever, and they're always like loud and they're always woo. They're always just talking. And you're just like, man, shut up. You're just like, please. A confident person is so secure with who they are, they don't have to convince people that they know who they are and that they know what they're talking about. Same scenario we talked about even like at a work meeting. It's always someone on the work call or in the business meeting who's talking, trying to make everybody realize that they know what they're talking about and that they're the person who is responsible for whatever project we're doing, or they're the person in charge in general. It's always that one person talking. And the people who are confident in their jobs, the people who are confident in their abilities are typically the ones who are sitting back and they're listening. Because not only do they know what they're talking about, they have the confidence that they don't have to convey this to anybody. They don't have to convince anybody that they know who they are, that they are proficient in that area. And when you listen more than you speak, when you do speak, it commands everyone's attention. That is confidence. Tip number 3, and out of all of these things, this is probably the hardest thing that I had to learn. Do not argue and do not raise your voice. Now, I know that especially as women, we have a hard time with people not understanding our points of view, or we really want to try to convey our points of view and our thought processes to people so that they understand us. I know. Trust me, I know. That is definitely me, okay? I am a Leo. I am very strong-willed, and I want you to understand what it is that I got to say, okay? However, I have learned that because I am so confident in my convictions and I am confident in how I feel and what I believe, my convictions are so strong, there is no need for me to argue this fact back and forth with someone who does not agree. It's not going to change how I feel. If this is how I feel about a certain situation, there is no need for me to argue with you in order for me to get you to understand it. As long as I understand it and as long as I get it, if you don't get it, then God bless you. Same thing with raising my voice. I am a mother, and you know these kids, okay? These kids can really get it sometimes, but I'm learning to not raise my voice because I'm confident enough that if you don't clean your room, you're going to be on punishment. And me raising my voice does not have to convey that. I can still convey that message in a way that they understand, that they hear me. And if you don't do what I ask you to do, then there are going to be consequences to those actions. And so I've learned that raising my voice and arguing back and forth is not necessary, because what it is that I'm saying, I'm confident enough in those messages that once I voice them, that's it. I don't have to say anything else. I don't have to make sure you understand it. Once I said it, that's it. And that's all that needs to be done. So tip number 4 and tip number 5, they do go hand in hand. So tip number 4 is to smile, and tip number 5 is to always maintain eye contact. When you are meeting new people, when you are in new social settings, a smile just relays confidence, because again, you are happy, you are genuine, you know who you are, and when you are exuding that energy, you're always smiling because, again, you know who you are. So there's no need for you not to want to make eye contact with someone, not to want to smile at someone and invite that energy in. You're confident in who you are. That energy is being exuded in your smile. It's being exuded when you're having conversations. When you make eye contact with someone and you're speaking to them, the energy that you are giving off, especially as women, that feminine energy that we are giving off, especially if you've done the work, like I said before, only if you've done the work, that energy that you are exuding is confidence. You are secure in this conversation. You are secure with being in this social setting that is prompting this conversation. You are confident in what you're going to say within this conversation. And you exude all of that by smiling, by making eye contact, and being a vocal part of the experience. And so all of these things are going to be things that you can implement today that are going to help you exude confidence. So we have been able to cover a lot of things in this video. We talked about how we can build confidence. I shared some of my experiences on how I have been able to build my confidence. And I did give you guys a few tips on how you can use some tips and some strategies that I have implemented to help you on your journey of building your confidence today. So if any of these tips have helped you in this video, let me know in the comment section below what your favorite tip was. Also, let me know what tips that you have used while building your confidence. Share it with us here on the community. We will love to hear from you. And that is going to complete today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if this video was helpful for you. And I will see you guys next time.